Every single night, millions of people lie awake, fighting their own bodies, and slowly losing that desperate, exhausting nightly battle. Maybe that person is you tonight, staring at the ceiling, wondering why sleep feels impossible no matter what you try. I have lived inside that frustration myself, so I understand exactly how heavy and hopeless those long nights can feel. You probably fall asleep fine for the first 4 or 5 hours before everything quietly starts falling completely apart again. Then you wake up restless, turning over repeatedly, checking the clock, and silently begging your tired brain to shut down. Maybe you get up to use the bathroom, and then falling back asleep suddenly feels strangely impossible and deeply unfair. Most people respond to this by throwing every possible solution they can find at their broken sleep all at once. I have honestly watched people swallow 20 or 30 different pills nightly just trying to engineer one decent, restful night. They tape their mouths shut, block all blue light, swallow melatonin, and even plunge into freezing cold water before bedtime. Honestly, some of these strategies carry a little real merit, and a few of them genuinely can move the needle. There's even a particular type of sleep gummy that I honestly am not allowed to openly discuss anywhere publicly. People genuinely chase every single trend, hoping one magic fix will finally rescue their exhausted, broken, miserable nightly sleep forever. Yet, despite all this constant effort and all this money, most people still wake up feeling utterly broken and defeated. But here's the truth. Almost nobody bothers telling you about why your sleep keeps quietly betraying you every night. Most of your sleep struggles are not actually caused by a simple, stubborn shortage of sedatives inside your exhausted body. They come from deeper instability hidden inside your nervous system and the delicate biological clock running quietly within your brain. Once you truly understand this, everything about your sleep struggles suddenly starts making perfect sense for the very first time. When that deeper wiring stays broken, you keep chasing endless symptoms instead of restoring your entire system into genuine calm. So today, I want to show you something genuinely fascinating that quietly targets those hidden roots of your broken sleep. It involves 2 simple amino acids working together in a way that honestly surprised me when I first discovered it. The first one is called serine, and the second one is glycine, which you may have already heard me discuss. Separately, they each help, but combined together, they create something far more powerful than either one could ever achieve alone. Today, I will carefully walk you through 3 big pieces that explain exactly how this surprising combination actually works inside. First, you'll learn how serine stabilizes your circadian rhythm and reduces the drift that makes sleep feel painfully unpredictable. Second, you'll discover how glycine improves your sleep architecture, cools your core temperature, and deepens truly restorative deep sleep. Third, you'll see how both amino acids calm your nervous system through inhibitory signaling and clever underlying creatine metabolism. That last part genuinely surprised me because it means creatine, the popular muscle supplement, can actually help you sleep deeper. Let us start with serine, because this piece feels subtle, yet it is honestly insanely important for your everyday sleep. Serine is an amino acid your body already naturally uses, yet supplementing it strategically produces some surprisingly powerful sleep effects. Most people assume sleep timing is purely behavioral, so they simply go to bed earlier and dim every bright light. Those habits genuinely do matter, but your circadian rhythm, the real biological clock inside you, can quietly drift anyway, regardless. Chronic stress pushes that clock later, irregular meals push it later, and hidden inflammation quietly keeps pushing it later too. Researchers actually tested this directly in a study published inside the Journal of Physiological Anthropology using healthy young university students. Each student took either 3 full grams of serine or a harmless placebo,
about 30 minutes before bed for weeks. Instead of measuring sleep duration, they tracked something called dim light melatonin onset, the true gold standard for circadian timing. In plain language, this simply measures when your body naturally starts feeling tired and begins releasing its own sleepy hormones. Your body quietly operates on this precise internal schedule, whether you consciously realize it or not, every single passing day. Here is the truly fascinating part. Because the placebo group slowly drifted later and later across the entire study period, they began falling asleep later, everything inside their schedule shifted later, and their nights kept quietly slipping out of control. Meanwhile, the entire serine group stayed remarkably stable, holding their natural sleep timing steady without drifting later at all whatsoever. Serine essentially stabilized their internal clock and prevented those frustrating shifts in melatonin timing from ever quietly taking hold there. This matters enormously because when your circadian rhythm drifts, almost everything about your entire daily life suddenly starts feeling off. Falling asleep grows much harder, you feel tired but wired, and your daytime energy becomes wildly inconsistent and frustratingly unpredictable. These problems quietly stack on top of each other until your whole life feels exhausting and strangely out of sync. Your mornings feel painfully heavy, your focus disappears, and you start relying on endless caffeine just to function barely normally. But what about your actual sleep quality, not just timing? Because honestly, that question matters enormously to every struggling sleeper. Two separate randomized double-blind crossover studies published in Springer Plus tested serine directly in people with genuinely poor sleep. Researchers used subjective sleep ratings, detailed questionnaires, and even actigraphy, the wearable devices that quietly track your real sleep cycles. They discovered that serine improved both sleep initiation and sleep maintenance, which are honestly the two pieces that matter most. People fell asleep more easily, stayed asleep far more consistently, and woke up feeling genuinely satisfied with their actual rest. So serine quietly fixes both the timing of your sleep and the precious continuity that keeps you peacefully asleep throughout. This is exactly why serine quietly forms the essential foundation that every other sleep improvement honestly truly depends upon completely. Now that we fully understand the circadian piece, let us move into the second part, involving the remarkable molecule glycine. Glycine is fascinating because it plays two completely different roles inside your body that both quietly affect your nightly sleep. It works as both a neurotransmitter and a basic building block used for constructing proteins throughout your entire living body. When it comes to sleep, though, the neurotransmitter role is genuinely the absolute shining star of this entire fascinating story. Understanding this one single distinction completely changes how you should actually think about using glycine to truly improve your sleep. Researchers gave 3 full grams of glycine to people with poor sleep, then carefully measured everything using full laboratory testing. They ran polysomnography, the complete overnight lab study, alongside subjective ratings, so they captured both real feelings and hard data. Subjectively, people genuinely felt they slept much better, and they consistently woke up feeling noticeably more refreshed and clear-headed.
Objectively, they also fell asleep faster, entered deep sleep sooner, and their overall sleep efficiency measurably and clearly improved too. But here's the real kicker. Because their daytime functioning improved, which is genuinely the entire whole point of sleeping, they experienced much lower daytime sleepiness, sharper thinking, and noticeably better performance on the demanding memory recognition tasks afterward too. So glycine did not merely help them fall asleep faster, it actively supported the entire following day for them too. Imagine actually sleeping deeply through the entire night, then waking up sharp, focused, and ready instead of foggy and exhausted. And the underlying mechanism behind all of this is honestly really cool once you understand what is actually happening inside. A fascinating study in neuropsychopharmacology found that glycine lowers your core body temperature by activating special receptors inside your brain. These special receptors sit inside the suprachiasmatic nucleus, which functions as the master circadian clock controlling your entire body rhythm. Lowering your core body temperature is a completely natural and essential part of how healthy, genuine sleep onset actually begins. Glycine actively increases heat loss through your skin and quietly triggers the brain signal that initiates deep, restful nightly sleep. It basically helps your whole tired body smoothly shift into that natural, relaxed, it is finally time to sleep mode. When researchers deliberately blocked those specific receptors, glycine completely stopped working entirely, which clearly proves this mechanism is genuinely real. This is genuinely powerful because it means glycine works through proven real biology, not vague wishful thinking or mere placebo. Now let us move into the third part, because glycine also powerfully impacts those frustrating nighttime awakenings that everyone hates. This includes the maddening urge to urinate that drags millions of exhausted people right out of deep sleep every night. Honestly, this one truly hits home for me, because I wake up needing to pee, then cannot fall back asleep. A revealing study in the Journal of Complementary and Integrative Medicine tested glycine directly in people with genuinely overactive bladders. This one single problem quietly disrupts the precious sleep of countless millions of people all around the world nightly. After only 4 short weeks of glycine, nighttime urination, urinary urgency, and sleep disruptions all decreased really quite dramatically together. Why does this genuinely matter? Because waking up repeatedly to urinate completely shatters your fragile sleep architecture every single time. Each single bathroom trip violently resets whatever precious stage of deep sleep your exhausted body had finally managed reaching successfully. Even a single brief awakening can quietly rob you of the deepest, most restorative sleep your tired brain desperately craves. Glycine quietly works as an inhibitory neurotransmitter inside your spinal cord, calming that automatic reflex constantly driving the urinary urge. It essentially turns down that deeply annoying wake up because you have to urinate signal, constantly interrupting your peaceful sleep. And importantly, this does not ever make you wet the bed. It simply removes that nagging, desperate, urgent feeling entirely. For anyone constantly interrupted by these exhausting bathroom trips, this single benefit alone can completely transform their entire restless nights. Now there is one more truly remarkable layer that most people honestly never hear about regarding glycine and serine together. Glycine is actually a direct precursor to creatine, which connects deeply to your essential brain energy stability during deep sleep. A study published in the Journal of Sleep Research found that creatine reduced total sleep time and lowered sleep pressure significantly.
In simple terms, the animals studied actually needed less total sleep than before, while still functioning perfectly well enough afterward. Why exactly? Because their brains held more phosphocreatine, giving them a far better backup energy supply throughout the entire night. This reveals something genuinely important, because your tired brain actually sleeps partly to restore its own depleted nightly energy reserves. When that delicate energy system grows unstable, your panicking brain wakes you up far sooner than you actually genuinely need. So glycine quietly leads to creatine, creatine leads to stable brain energy, and stable energy finally leads to deeper sleep. This does not mean glycine somehow magically replaces sleep, but it helps your brain stop panicking whenever energy levels drop. It is honestly fascinating how a simple muscle-building supplement quietly connects to the very deepest layers of restful sleep. And then there is the final, powerful piece involving emotional arousal, cortisol, and how stress quietly destroys your nightly sleep. Glycine has a profoundly calming effect on your entire nervous system, blunting the stress response and reducing excitatory overactive signaling. A 2024 review in Sleep Medicine Reviews and another earlier neuroscience study both emphasized this exact same powerful point clearly. Emotional reactivity, especially intense negative emotion, strongly delays your sleep onset and seriously disrupts your healthy, natural REM sleep patterns. Think about lying there replaying stressful conversations, worrying about endless tasks, or obsessing over what other people think about you. Anything that genuinely deeply bothers you can violently disrupt your REM patterns and keep your anxious, tired mind racing endlessly. How well you regulate emotion ultimately determines how severely everyday stress crashes into your sleep and completely wrecks your rest. Stress will always impact your sleep somewhat, but how much it actually impacts everything truly depends on many different factors. And this is precisely where glycine quietly steps in to help you regulate that overwhelming emotional storm raging inside you. When your nervous system finally relaxes, your whole body naturally drifts toward sleep without you ever having to force anything. One revealing study even showed that glycine supplementation dramatically reduced cortisol spikes, appearing directly in response to sudden, intense stress. Because glycine functions naturally as an inhibitory neurotransmitter, it may calm overexcited, anxious humans in this exact same gentle way. Perhaps it works so incredibly reliably because it calms your nervous system and quietly reduces that overwhelming emotional arousal nightly. In other words, glycine simply helps your busy, racing brain finally settle so you can fall asleep and stay asleep. This gentle emotional calming effect might honestly be the single biggest reason glycine works so reliably for so many people. Meanwhile, serine keeps your delicate circadian rhythm perfectly aligned, so your sleep timing never drifts frustratingly later again, ever, anymore. Together, these two simple amino acids support the deep root systems controlling timing, temperature, energy stability, and powerful emotional regulation. These are honestly the exact hidden systems that quietly determine whether your sleep actually works or completely falls apart nightly. Think of serine simply as the powerful internal clock stabilizer, and glycine as the dedicated deep sleep quality builder itself. When you finally support both these systems at once, your sleep stops feeling like a nightly battle you keep losing. Now let me give you a few genuinely simple practical takeaways if you actually want to experiment with these tonight. For serine, the research consistently used roughly 3 grams, taken about 30 minutes before bed for the best possible results.
This seems most helpful for people whose sleep feels shifted later or frustratingly inconsistent from one single night to another. That gentle circadian rhythm stabilization is honestly a genuinely big, meaningful win at around the 3-gram nightly dosage amount. For glycine, the research also consistently used 3 grams before bed to improve overall sleep quality and depth every night. Glycine reliably helps you with much deeper sleep, faster onset, and noticeably fewer frustrating awakenings throughout your long, restless nights. But if you want to stack both together, you should genuinely start low and build up slowly from there, carefully. I personally recommend trying 2 to 3 grams of glycine alongside 2 to 3 grams of serine together nightly instead. Take them both together roughly 30 minutes before you climb into bed and quietly settle in for the whole night. Consistency matters enormously here, so please give this gentle approach at least 1 or 2 full weeks before judging anything. Your body needs genuine real time to rebalance these deep systems, so impatience and constant doubting will only sabotage progress. Now here is something genuinely important, so please do not obsess over your sleep or anxiously overthink every single thing. Instead, pay really close attention to exactly how you actually feel the very next morning when you finally wake up. That genuine morning feeling is honestly the single best and most reliable marker of whether something is truly working well. Notice your mental clarity, your steady energy, and especially how easily you actually managed to fall asleep the previous night.
Do not try too hard to remember the sleep itself, because honestly, you simply will not remember those quiet hours. There's one more truly useful timing note, especially relevant if those nighttime bathroom trips keep waking you up repeatedly. In that one specific case, you should also cut your total fluid intake off noticeably earlier in the long evening. Taking your glycine slightly earlier, perhaps 1 full hour before bed, can still meaningfully help with that frustrating nighttime urination. So if nighttime bathroom trips are truly your single biggest problem, then please shift that glycine dose meaningfully earlier tonight. The deeper truth here is that better sleep rarely ever comes from simply adding more powerful sedatives to your body. It instead comes from quietly rebalancing the deep underlying systems that actually govern how your tired body truly falls asleep. When you stabilize your clock, cool your body, calm your nerves, and steady your energy, everything finally clicks together beautifully. You stop desperately chasing endless symptoms every single night, and you finally start truly restoring your whole exhausted nervous system. That is honestly the entire quiet difference between fighting your sleep nightly and finally working gently alongside your own body. Imagine waking up tomorrow genuinely rested, clear, and calm, instead of groggy, frustrated, and already dreading the entire long day. That quiet, peaceful morning is genuinely possible when you finally address the real hidden roots instead of the surface symptoms. Thousands of people quietly struggle exactly like you do, and most have never even heard about this simple, powerful approach. So tonight, consider giving these 2 simple amino acids a genuine, real chance to quietly rebuild your broken sleep again. Start low, stay patient, watch your mornings closely, and quietly let your body slowly remember how to truly rest again. You truly deserve real rest, and your exhausted body deserves the genuine chance to finally heal, repair, and recover properly. Because real lasting sleep was never truly about forcing yourself unconscious. It was always about gently helping your body relax. And once your body finally feels safe, stable, and calm again, deep restorative sleep simply returns naturally on its own.
Tonight could honestly become the very first night of the deep, peaceful, restorative sleep you have been desperately missing lately.